Welcome back to Solana Smoke. So, welcome, Ross. How are you today?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Maxime. So it's actually Canton Smoke this week, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Canton Smoke. I mean, we thought, okay, today, what are we? It's the 5th of February. All the news are kind of looking at the graph and how the whole crypto is going down, and then there's no regulation that is coming to an agreement. So there's nothing really kind of wow fun to talk about. So we thought, okay, we had that talk with Craig a couple of episodes ago where he was mentioning Canton, and we know that lately everything has been kind of how do we bring institutions into Solana, and it seems that this is what Canton is trying to do. So the idea today was just to go through a kind of a short video of what Canton is, so we, get to understand a little bit better, see how it differs from Solana, and if it's any good, really.
Yeah, we're very interested to understand the Canton Network. And we literally spent about 8 seconds before this video trying to find a video to watch. And I think the criteria for the one that we picked was that the person had to have an English accent and the video to be under 10 minutes. So we found one. So we don't know if this video is any good. Normally we have looked at it before, but we haven't done any research. This could go really badly wrong, but we're hoping that we might learn something about Canton because we think it's sort of a competitor network to Solana in the race to attract institutional money. But we feel that perhaps there might be two blockchains that you can both utilize for these types of businesses, the finance business of the future. So let's see what this gentleman has to say. Are we smoking today? Are we
Yeah,
not? I mean,
yes.
I spent too long in Manuel's cigar lounge last night.
Ah,
I'm a little, but I have got a little cigarillo, but I'm not sure if I'm going to fire it up
all
today.
right. Well, your choice. I'm going with a little Joya de Nicaragua.
All
Uh,
right, okay.
So yeah, that's gonna be my companion for the day. And just to echo back on your point, I think yes, a lot of the chains are trying to get all this institutional money. Even Avalanche is getting some. Uh, everyone wants their bit. So let's have a look if Canton is really what they say it is. The kind of the institutional chain. So. Let's have a quick look. So the sharing of the video will happen now, and yeah, let's see. Whenever, as usual, Ross, whenever you want to pause, you let me know, and we'll chit chat.
Yeah, and the title is the Canton Network, the 99 trillion plan nobody's talking about. So promising a lot, this video.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone's got 99 problem, but apparently the world's got 99 trillion problems. So
Yeah.
so let's see, Canton. Do you live up to the expectations? That's the question.
But meaningful shift taking place inside global financial markets. It's not happening in public headlines or retail trading apps. It's happening inside clearing systems, custody frameworks, and settlement infrastructure. The institutions responsible for moving and safeguarding securities at a scale are now preparing for a world where traditional assets can exist on blockchain rails, but only if those rails meet institutional standards for privacy, control, and governance. This isn't about disruption, it's about modernization. And you're probably wondering what I'm talking about. But as the title suggests, we are going to talk about.
So we've got XRP, we've got Bitcoin, and we got our Canton expert today.
Yeah,
XRP,
he screwed his background up though, didn't he? He didn't realize that his camera was going to flip those logos around the other way, didn't he? It's a bit of
yeah.
an error. We should probably email him.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. Otherwise, it's really. I mean, it's odd. I mean, I remember the XRP actually when it all started. Where it was really kind of trying to build it for the banks, and when I started really learning about crypto, XRP was really the no go. No one would touch XRP because it's completely against what Bitcoin is doing. And yeah, recently they just got I think their money. money license just a couple of days ago. So
Right. Mm.
they're going places. So
Mm.
all right.
Okay.
Canton Network, about what they are, what they're trying to solve, what are the big relationships they have with big financial institutions. Let's cut the talking and let's get right into it. That shift brings us to Canton Network. Canton is not designed like a typical public blockchain. It does not assume every participant see every transaction. Instead, it functions as a network of interoperable applications where regulated institutions can coordinate over shared transaction outcomes while keeping sensitive data private. Each firm operates within its own permissioned environment.
All right. So let's have a look at this Canton ecosystem. So again, there's the foundation. Everyone's kind of separated. You've got Circle,
So the
Templeton.
people on the outside, that's the foundation, is it? That's got a lot of sort of random logos there, isn't it? Very random. And then
Super
you've got this.
validator. So yeah, one thing
Yeah.
that I heard about Canton is that you kind of have to apply to become a validator. Not everyone can. It's kind of a pretty limited circle. So they want to kind of control who validates the chain.
Mm.
And from my research, really the difference is that they have this Canton coin that they call CC, and the super validators basically uh, get some. If you look at the way that the Canton coin is actually distributed at the beginning, for the first 6 months of life, I don't know if he's going to go through it, so that's why I just want to cover first. The Whenever the Canton network was launched, for the first 6 months, like most of the tokens were going to the validator, and little were going to the apps, which makes sense because you have little apps and you're trying to get a lot of validators, so you're kind of bringing value directly to them. But the idea is that at the end of the cycle, let's say, they want to flip the chart where most of the apps actually will be getting the Canton token, and the super validator would get like a smaller share of the token.
Mm.
So that's why it's there. Yeah, they want to have, I think, as many kind of big names. I mean, because we see Copper. Who else do we see? Tor.
HSBC on there, Chainlink, Circle,
Yeah.
um,
So they're
Crypto.com.
all
So
getting.
yeah, a few
It's pretty expensive. I mean, to get started is not. I mean, Solana, I think, is even more expensive now to become a validator. All right.
okay.
Yet transactions can still settle automatically across firms. This design reflects how real financial markets operate. Transparency
Just
is
stop there.
required at the system level.
So hang on a minute. What is he saying here? So because his graphics are good, but he's moving quite quickly, isn't he? He's saying that Canton allows you to have like a siloed part of it where you can still interact with the other institutions on it, but it's private. They can't see it. Is that what this is about?
Yeah,
Just
what
like
I
the
think he's talking
privacy.
about is that there's kind of two chains. Like you can either do it on chain or kind of off chain, but somehow all merge. So that's how you
Mm.
keep kind of the confidentiality on one bit, but on the other side, you're still part of a permissionless network.
Right. So yeah, so we should note this confidentiality thing that they're arguing then on Canton. So anyway, I guess let's continue to see what's next.
Canton's architecture prioritizes that reality, which is why it resonated with banks, exchanges, and market infrastructure providers. So pause here for a moment. If you were responsible for billions and trillions of dollars worth in client assets onto systems, counterparties, or strategies that were broadly visible, or would you prefer those transactions to be private? When people ask what Canton is worth, it's important to frame the answer correctly. Canton is not positioned as a retail ecosystem where value is measured by a token price. Its value is expressed through institutional behavior, It shows up in the transaction volume, in live workflows, and the willingness of systemically important firms to commit production resources to the network. Canton has already been associated with trillions of dollars in recurring transaction activity, which is a signal that the underlying infrastructure has passed serious legal, risk, and compliance review. In institutional finance,
So I think this is maybe the key difference here between Solana and Canton. Canton is really made for the institutions, but in a sense that only the institutions can partake, no, as validators and as trusted parties. So, I mean, clearly it's an approach. It actually rings back to one news actually that happened this week on Solana. It was the launch of Contra. I don't know if did you hear about that, Ross?
No.
So Contra is basically a layer on Solana that would allow kind of what Canton is trying to do to kind of do things a bit off chain, so where you could actually keep the confidentiality. So it's let me see if I have it here open. It's called Contra, private execution on the and public liquidity. So let me share this screen directly. So here you are.
I was just looking at I was looking on the Canton Foundation website trying to understand
okay.
this sort of Contra.
Mm-hmm.
Contra, okay.
So Contra is really it was just launched by the Solana Foundation last week, and so it's kind of what if we look at just the words like privacy, autonomy, perform, that's kind of the words that were put by the Canton Network, no? So really the idea here is that you're keeping sovereignty of the data, so it's not clearly out there, but you can still do thousands and thousands of transactions per second. So you're keeping the performance of the Solana network while staying compliant, having all the security standards. So it's actually here how it works. So the application network is really where you bring basically the liquidity, but you set your own rule and everything stays private. So that's the kind of the idea of Contra. So clearly brand new. I don't know how many people are already kind of working on it, but that was something that happened this week, and I think it resonates really with what the Canton ecosystem is trying to do, clearly from a different point of view, but still very, very interesting. So
Okay.
Let's go back to our.
Yeah, I was sort of looking at who founded the Canton Foundation. Not actually clear. It's quite a sort of mix of mainly crypto people and then a few TradFi people. So you got like the head of digital assets from BNY Mellon and HBC on their board, but I thought this had actually been founded by the banks, Canton. That's what I thought. But actually, I got founding members, and it does look a lot more sort of crypto. I mean, you got like Moody's with a founding member, Liberty City Ventures. I'm not sure what that is, but it sounds a bit TradFi, doesn't it? Taurus, I think, is that no, that's yeah. So it does look a little bit more crypto than I thought. Actually, I thought it was like JP Morgan and all that had got together to build Canton. That doesn't look like that's right, does it?
No, clearly more players, coming from the crypto space. So.
Yeah. Okay.
there is a quiet its assets onto systems, counterparties, or strategies that were broadly visible? Or would you prefer those transactions to be private? When people ask what Canton is worth, it's important to frame the answer correctly. Canton is not positioned as a retail ecosystem where value is measured by a token price. Its value is expressed through institutional behavior. It shows up in the transaction volume, in live workflows, and the willingness of systemically important firms to commit production resources to the network. Canton has already been associated with trillions of dollars in recurring transaction activity, which is a signal that the underlying infrastructure has passed serious legal, risk, and compliance review. In institutional finance, value is not speculative. It is earned through adoption that survives scrutiny and continues quietly. To understand why Canton exists, you have to look at how fragmented today's market infrastructure.
So how fragmented is today's infrastructure?
Is he talking a lot of nonsense here? He's using a lot of big words and not really saying anything, this guy, isn't he?
I mean, so far so clear, yes.
Yeah, I think what we like is visuals, I think, actually.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
yeah,
I'm
so
not even sure they're his, but
yeah,
yeah.
he's
So
got
this,
his chat GPT script in front of him. So anyway, yeah, I mean, this is another little point here to try and get your head around, isn't it? As well, like, why do we need blockchains? Why doesn't everything work fine as it is now?
I mean,
But I think
it,
it works, but I think it's the sort of it's
innovation.
slower, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
slower. You're relying on a centralized party, and it's just expensive, isn't it? And it's not 24/7.
and this is what
It's nine
blockchain
to
actually
five and close at the weekend, right? Isn't it? So that's I think that's the main things of why people want to move branch transactions out of the old system into the new blockchain system, right?
I mean, and I think it's a point that we've touched already. Why do we want to tokenize everything? It's like you said, to have faster settlement, to have a broader access as well to the tools. Because a lot of people, we talk a lot about the unbanked, but there's as well the unbrokered. You know, a lot of people that don't have
Mm.
access to just brokerage accounts, so they can't invest easily. So this is where the blockchain kind of, by its decentralization and by the innovation in technology that it brings, this is really what makes it just a better system. And by removing the middleman, you're reducing fees and you're creating this kind of trustless system where the code and the validators are playing together to make sure that the system runs. And
You're trusting the code, you're trusting the system, not that some central guy is going to do as he should, right? Yeah.
yeah, not like the trust bros that
Trust bros, yeah,
from
yeah,
our last
yeah,
meeting.
yeah.
So
Although, of course, yeah, that was the problem with the blockchain was that, of course, it was all public, but these guys are sort of saying, well, no, actually, our one's not public.
exactly, they're trying to bring what the institutions want, kind of the confidentiality. Of course, if you're a big firm and you're gonna put an order block of selling some of the stock, and let's say there's not enough liquidity, you don't want to be seen. Okay, this guy is gonna dump whatever. Whereas on the blockchain, you would see all these order blocks, all this transparency. So by doing it either the Canton way or the Contra way, you can keep the privacy of the execution while maintaining the trust.
Yeah. And of course, a bank is obviously it facilitates financial transaction between people, but it's also it's the ledger, isn't it? It's the record of who owns what, right? Um, but what we're saying here is that's what they're using the blockchain for, right? Is to record
Exactly.
what transactions and who owns what. It'll just be done on a blockchain, not on a I don't know, an Excel spreadsheet or
Yeah.
some a piece of banking software tool or something, right?
That's
Yeah.
this is really what started the whole blockchain DLT,
Yeah,
decentralized.
because on a okay, they probably don't use Excel. They use some banking software, won't they? Like Abacus or something like that. Um, but that's still a lot of it still requires a lot of humans to do things, doesn't it?
Mhm.
To manage input and all the rest of it. Where the blockchain, it's peer to peer, isn't it? You're just engaging with your counterparty over the code, and the code is doing all the recording, and the code is managed by I think they call it super validators here, don't they? But
Yeah.
other people call it nodes. But that's what they mean by that is just the people whose servers keep a record, right? The other point being that there's not just one party with the record, is there? There's maybe 3,000 people with the full up to date record of what's happened, right? So is that right? Would you agree with that? My little summary there.
No, it's exactly true. And the just to go back here to your kind of blockchain versus bank analogy, the ledger is distributed, so it's as well kind of always audited, because everyone
Mm,
is looking at it. Whenever there's a bad player trying to enter the ecosystem, all the other players, of course, want the blockchain to survive and to be true. So this is when you kind of kick out the bad players. Whereas when you're having one central entity, a lot of murky things can happen in the background, and the transparency and trust of the technology removes these elements. So
yeah, I mean that's the only kind of innovation with the blockchain, right? Is that okay? You've got maybe the cryptography, you could say, around it.
yeah, added
Um,
security.
which yeah, that maybe that's an innovation, but it's just like an evolution in how you record things,
Yeah, yeah.
isn't it?
We went from
The Swiss law here, we call it the Swiss law, crypto regulation laws called the digital sorry, distributed ledger transaction law, right?
Mhm.
Distributed ledger. So if there was a time where, oh, let's stop calling it a blockchain, right? It's a distributed ledger. That is really all it is, isn't it? There's actually nothing that sort of exciting about it. But looks like the banks agree that yeah, that does look like a better way of doing things.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So
And I think there's as well the kind of open source concept where you allow people to build on that technology. Whereas today, if you want to build something with a bank, it would be way more complicated and not that many people would want to get involved. Whereas if you look at the Solana ecosystem, everyone can, launch their own coin, tokenize their own whatever. And so this really
they're all trying to find bugs in it, aren't they? Because like a piece of banking software is like owned by one company. That's the bank's license. I'm not sure I ever worked for a bank that even had its own operating software. Right, it was always something that they purchased or licensed from a technology service provider. Where here, yeah, say you hold the globe,
yeah, it's global.
looking at it, trying to find holes in it, making improvements, and yes, that's a good point as well. Yeah. Mm.
You're always trying to bring the efficiency for the network, and everyone is really working together. Whereas maybe if we look at the kind of the banking system, every bank was trying to improve their own system somehow, so
Mm.
that everything was siloed and it was really a competition. Whereas now, if everyone is working on the same blockchain, there is way more collaboration. And this is
Mm.
what speeds up innovation and speeds up as well adoption of
Mm.
simply of the technology.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's continue.
Let's see.
Treasuries. The same trade is represented across front offices, middle offices, and regulators, each maintaining separate records. This fragmentation creates delays, traps collateral, and introduces operational risk. Enormous effort is spent just by ensuring everyone agrees on the same state of the world. Canton addresses this by allowing institutions to coordinate over a shared transaction state while preserving internal systems of record, settlement logic, becoming programmable. Reconciliation becomes embedded rather than laid on afterward.
So really, I think this is what he's talking about is, yeah, everyone's got the shared ledger, but then you keep your own personal ledger with kind maybe of your private information. So maybe you would
Mm.
have, let's say, the name of the client on your own ledger, whereas on the public one, it would just be a wallet address. So I guess this is where you'll see some bits that are shared and some others are really kept by the entities.
Mm.
I think that's
Yeah,
the
I think he's making fair points here, isn't he? These points here are fair.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of players. Everyone wants to look at the information from a different perspective, and that's why I know that Solana, the way it's structured and the data that's in there, makes it difficult for to read. I'm sure you remember when we used to try to backtrack transactions and how it was very difficult to see really what was happening. So maybe the
Well, I mean, my experience of working in banks and that is that it's really critical that you can backtrack transactions. You know, 'cause
100%.
things go wrong and you need to correct them. You know, but that is that a negative here? You know, that you can't correct something right as easily with technology. Actually, the old paper days. You just shred the document and write a new one or something, right? If you had to correct something. And sometimes that was like, look, there's been we made a mistake. We moved the money on this date instead of that date, and because of that, we've caused the client a $20 million tax bill.
Mm.
So it was an error. You just need to correct it. You do no harm. In fact, quite the opposite, right? The old days, you just change it or something, right? But on here, um,
Way more
uh,
difficult.
there's less
Impossible.
route, there's less margin for error, right?
Yeah.
Which we've seen, haven't we? We've seen with like when you move money, if you move it to the wrong wallet address, you can lose all your money, right?
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, I wonder if they'll have to build that in somehow that there's sort of ability to, just I mean, this isn't illegal, by the way. We're talking sort of about mistake,
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
whole law of mistake, right? Sort of the rectification of a genuine mistake, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's maybe the downside. Yeah, mistakes are costly on the blockchain, you know,
Mm, yeah.
and most of the time are irreversible.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
it,
interesting to see how courts sort of look at that, won't it? They'll be looking at a transcript of blockchain records, right? And then, making an analysis on that. And you might be that the courts have to sort of give parties slack despite what the code says. Might be that, right? Let's
yeah,
see.
but
Or
I
or
think
or will you be delegating to some sort of oracle, like some online crypto blockchain dispute resolution body, which I think there are some emerging, right? That's sort of quite interesting, isn't it?
it's true. But I think what it will bring as well will improve the quality of the transactions that are happening. Because if you know that mistakes are possible, you're kind of triple checking. So
Mm,
maybe there is just the better apps, the better protocol will only succeed because those are the ones where the people are actually more careful, paying more attention, being more mindful. So they could be this
mm,
element.
maybe. Okay.
But the goal is not to replace existing institutions, but to connect them more efficiently. The credibility of Canton comes from who is willing to align with it. Major global banks, exchanges, market infrastructure providers, and enterprise technology firms are participating not as observers, but as operators and builders. That level of involvement implies governance, participation, integration work, and long-term accountability. The core technology behind Canton is developed by Digital Asset, which has raised significant strategic capital from firms embedded deeply in market structure. These are not investors chasing novelty.
Right. Okay. Just pause it. This is why.
Looking to reduce operational risk.
This is what I thought. No, but okay. So it's backed by this DTCC,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're backed by the big banks. Is that what it is? Yeah, I think that's what he's saying, isn't it? Or digital assets, Canton. Uh, yeah, not sure, but anyway, yeah, that looked like what I was thought, right? So there is that institutional backing on this, but maybe it's through like another body, perhaps this DTCC thing, whatever
Yeah,
that
I
is.
mean, here what you said, Canton create your digital asset will help tokenize DTCC US Treasury securities.
Mm,
So yeah, they seem to be backed by Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, but as well the crypto community with Circle and Copper. So again,
Yeah,
it's
what's this DTC then? What is this? This is yeah, not sure what this is. But anyway, perhaps that's something to look at another time about us. Yeah. It looks like a sort of think tank.
hmm.
Mm.
I mean, here you can read trusted by leading financial institutions and a network of tokenized real world assets. So this is really what it's trying to do, taking the angle of how can you bring
Yeah,
finance.
if you look at this body, it's way more TradFi. In fact, there's no
Okay.
crypto. You've got Morgan Stanley guy, New York Stock Exchange, head of JP Morgan, UBS. Yeah, look, this is like look at Northern Trust. Yeah, FINRA, Bank of America. Yeah, look, this is the full on
Full on TradFi.
boomer. There's the boomers. We found the boomers. They're hiding behind this DTCC thing.
Ah.
Yeah, whatever. So this is like the boomer um, crypto think tank is what I'm going to call it.
I think that's a fair
Which
point.
actually yeah. They're backing Canton. So it's not like they didn't form Canton, but they're involved in it through this think tank. That's
So
my
you're saying
conclusion there.
that this lady is the think tank behind the global head of DTCC digital assets. Okay.
Yeah, and then if you look at the board of directors of DTCC, it's all the TradFi guys.
Okay.
Mm, yeah.
So they wanted to build their use case, and instead of doing it on a permissionless blockchain like Ethereum or Solana, they just said, let's create another permissionless layer where we're still going to be kind of controlling as super validators and everything. And let's tweak the rules to something that we're comfortable with.
Mm. Well, I may, yeah, I mean, I'm sure maybe they don't want to sort of mix in with the crypto bros, but it might also be this privacy point as well, right? That they had to build something that had
Yeah, I mean, it
privacy
makes
in it.
sense. That's why they
Mm.
want to have this kind of dual ledger technology
Yeah.
where you have the
Mm.
public and private and built in
Mm.
from the same way that we're seeing that now Solana is doing it with Contra kind of as a second thought. They're building it from the get-go, and this is the key differentiator.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that must be the
Yeah, he talked about reconciliation as well. You know, you and I know, don't we, from our working with our clients, that the Solana network is not the easiest to reconcile.
100%.
And he mentioned that, you know, there's like embedded reconciliation into this, which is quite interesting as well, right? And that could be the thing that gets
Again,
it over the line if it's just easier to do your bookkeeping from this thing, right? So
if you're
that'd
building
be
it for
interesting.
banks, if you're building it
Yeah.
for banks, you wanna make sure that you have your audit, your compliance, your reconciliation, all of this built in with an easy way of accessing this data and maybe having it as well off chain. You
Mm,
know, you don't want to always be talking to the blockchain of, okay, what actually happened? Let's say it happens on the public blockchain, but your own ledger keeps track of everything. So again, maybe you then have APIs into this private bit of yours, and
mm.
or it's fully part of your banking system, and so you can keep track way more easily. That could be that could be the angle. And instead of building tools, they built it themselves.
Yeah, they just put up on the screen here, haven't they, about they've got the DTC here.
Yeah.
That's it's called the Depository Trust Company.
Hmm.
I wonder if this is actually something to do with how banks clear transactions between each other. That's actually what
Okay.
this DTC is. Yeah, this might be quite an old institution actually that does that, and then they've kind of formed a different bit for the digital assets. Here we go. Digital Depository Trust Company, founded in 1973 as a New
Okay.
York corporation that performs the functions of central securities depository. Yeah, yeah. So this is I've come across this point before actually. Like you quite often the banks don't even um they don't hold the stocks. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the
It's this
clearinghouse, the
company on
settlement
trust. If
house.
you look here on Wikipedia, it's saying this DTCC's got 54.2 trillion of assets.
Wow.
So I think yeah, this is like the clearing company, um, and probably what actually legally holds
Yeah, and so
all your stocks and that, right? Mm.
then the title of the Canton Network, the video just makes sense. The 99 trillion plan. This is
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
clearinghouse is, holding 54 of them, and and the economy is going to keep on rising.
Well,
Okay.
that figure is from 2017. So yeah, perhaps
Oh,
it
so
is up to
you're maybe
99
up
trillion
at
now.
99 already.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
that's a buy signal for Canton, isn't it? So
Hmm.
if they're about to all of this gets moved onto onto the Canton network, right? Yeah. So that is extremely interesting. Mm. Yeah. Here the Depository Trust Company, established in 1973, was created to alleviate the rising volumes of paperwork and the lack of security that developed after rapid growth in the volume of transactions in the US securities industry in the late 1960s.
Hmm.
DTC was formed under the special incorporation laws in New York for trust companies. Yeah, so it's sort of holding these assets on trust, right, for all the banks. So I think, yeah, you know you think the banks own your stocks and that they don't actually. It's like this entity does, right? So
That does custody of it
yeah,
all. And again,
yeah, yeah.
they're more the front facing. They're kind of the app of this DTCC, if we think about
Mm.
it. This is how the
Yeah, so that's very interesting that is kind of
who's
backing
behind it.
Canton. Mm.
Of firms embedded deeply in market structure. These are not investors chasing novelty. These are institutions looking to reduce operational risk and improve efficiency over decades. When the firms that profit the most from markets functioning smoothly and they are investing in new financial rails, what does that tell you where the real financial inefficiencies are in today's world? At the center of this story is the DTCC, the Depository Trust and
Here we
Clearing
are.
Stop.
Corporation. The DTCC is a core
Suppose
financial infrastructure.
I was ahead of the video.
We usually are. We usually are.
We
And
usually are.
we hadn't seen this one first, so
It's a bit embarrassing because they're about to either confirm what I say or we're going to prove that I'm all wrong. So let's have a look.
I'm sure you actually explained it better.
Through
Yeah.
its subsidiaries, it clears, settles, and provides custody and asset servicing for the vast majority of US securities. According to its own disclosures, securities issues held up.
Again, one thing to note here, it's clearly US focused, as you can see, no? The
Correct.
DTC is really, let's hold all the stock of the US banks for US securities. So Canton maybe is going into the same direction. So again, if we're kind of noting differences between Solana and Canton, Solana is really, the internet capital for, worldwide access, whereas for the moment it seems that it's a bit more US focused, this Canton.
I think the last time I heard, actually, the last time I heard about DTC, I think was like a sort of conspiracy theory because somebody was pointing out that basically there's like one company owns everything,
Huh.
which is a bit reductionist because uh, and that this was like some sort of elite grab of assets, right? That they just managed to convince you to put everything into this one company. Uh, I'm not sure if that's true, or if it's generally just for, efficiencies.
Yeah,
But it's interesting, isn't it? So then all of that is then going to go on Canton.
seems
Mm.
to. Seems like.
Under custody and servicing are valued at approximately $99 trillion. That number is often misunderstood. It does not mean $99 trillion is being tokenized tomorrow. It represents the scale of the assets that already exist with the DTCC's ecosystem. Any move to bring even a portion of that value onto the blockchain infrastructure is immediately significant at a systemic level. The DTCC is not experimenting casually. It is actively working to make certain DTC custodied assets, beginning with US Treasury securities, available on chain. To do this, it has partnered with Digital Asset and selected the Canton Network as the foundation. This decision reflects the DTCC's non-negotiable requirements, permission access, transaction-level privacy, operational resilience, and the governance structures that maps clearly to existing legal and regulatory frameworks. Canton allows the DTCC to represent assets on-chain while preserving entitlement.
So here again, we're seeing kind of the keywords that Canton is really, pushing: confidence, privacy, compliance, settlement.
It's quite
Say again?
it's quite convincing.
Oh yeah, I
That
mean,
they, the base is backed by this depository company that literally owns every single security in the US.
so yeah, but again, I feel it's going kind of okay. Right now, one company is owning everything, and so what the idea is that then one blockchain is gonna control everything, and you have 600 dudes or super validators or whatever, kind of controlling it.
Well, they'll still own it. It's more they're changing the record keeping system, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's all that's happening, right? You're gonna use Canton to record
I mean,
transaction,
what are
right?
they gonna record the tokenized version of it?
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, where is it still gonna be sitting into the DTCC? The only difference is that they'll gain on efficiency by having this tokenized version of the holdings, and they'll basically allow more apps to kind of interact with it. That's basically what you're doing.
Mm.
But yeah, within your own ecosystem, which has all of these kind of features embedded.
Protections and oversight enables innovation without forcing a rewrite of the rules that keep markets stable. This is why the partnership matters. It signals a shift from theoretical tokenization to controlled regulated execution. So it's clear that the blockchain is being tokenized, but the DTCC's role is to tokenize assets on the blockchain within about 5 to 10 years. But I'm going to play a clip from the DTCC explaining that their plans in 5 to 10 years to tokenize assets on the blockchain. But let's take a look.
And you're absolutely right. On the chains, I think you saw yesterday, we announced the first chain that's out there, which is that we've partnered with, which is Canton. To your point, there is not one chain that's going to be able to handle the volumes that we're looking at. So by definition, we will be looking at other chains, but they need to satisfy requirements that are going to make our regulators comfortable that there's nothing funny happening behind the scenes. And I think you guys have seen the stories this week. So, we take great pain to ensure that from a legal and regulatory perspective, all these chains are above board. And what DTCC is working on is to, as we add these chains into our ecosystem, that we would have an orchestration layer that covers it, right? So if you tell me, all right, mint today on Canton, but tomorrow I need you to move it to Stellar or move it to SWI or wherever we want to go, Ethereum, we'll be able to do that while maintaining the appropriate records. So extending that into the digital world, I think it's also important to acknowledge that our hypotheses, and I think you'll agree with that, is, well, we believe that someday everything will tokenize. It is going to take us a while to get there. What we've tried to do at DTCC is really, we're trying to take 55 years of evolving the US capital markets, or the largest capital markets in the world. And we're really trying to digitize that in a matter of like 50 weeks.
When you step back, the story of Canton Network isn't about hype or building ideology. It's about...
So I also just wanted to mention this guy's hair. I mean, Donald Trump would be proud of this, wouldn't he?
You got the orange, you got the hair.
Yeah. No, seriously, that was very interesting, wasn't it? We just sort of watched a video within a video within a video. Interesting to you saying that, not one chain can handle it.
Yeah.
So maybe the door. I was starting to think perhaps the door had been shut on Solana and other networks. They'd missed their opportunity. But yeah, clearly, if as she's saying, well, if they grow up and put all the the right people on the boards and the right security and the right that, then we might use you. So yeah, we might be replacing some of those crypto bros on the Solana Foundation board by the looks of it, Maxime.
I mean, yes and no, because like she says, she just like Canton was the best use case now because it was really built from the ground up for that use case. Whereas if then we see other chains like our dear Solana maturing into bringing, all the elements that the regulators are looking for, then of course they would bridge on it. Why? Because you have so many users on Solana. You have the composability of building other apps differently, and you're just thinking differently. So whenever it's tokenized, I'm sure that bridging, taking, one asset from a chain to another will happen at any point. So I'm clearly not. I think I'm even more optimistic that Solana can take part of this DTCC at some point, because of the it's thinking differently, but they just want to make sure that the rules, that their tokens and that their kind of securities are being tokenized and played with. They want to be compliant, but again, it's a thing that keeps on coming back, and we've seen this already from last year. Regulation is coming anyway, and we just want to have clarity on what's going to happen. So yeah, I wouldn't say that Solana is behind. On the contrary, if we see with this contra, with everything that they're building, they're really trying to mature. So
yeah, okay.
Infrastructure. It's about value moving on the blockchain. Its value is reflected on who's building on it, how much real activity is flowing through it.
I mean, he just said it. Like, what's the chain that has the most activity? Solana. What's the where are people building? They're building on Solana. So as long as they're building with the right framework, I don't see why tokenization wouldn't flow between chains for sure, but a lot is going to be taken by Solana.
Yeah.
Institutions are willing to attach their financial credibility onto it. The DTCC's involvement elevates this to exploration, to execution. The $99 trillion figure isn't speculation, but is a reminder of the huge scale involved. Welcome to the financial revolution that you are going to be part of.
It's true. Well, actually, that was a half decent video in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I think it opened our eyes as well. We could dive a little bit more into really, what is the DTCC or what's behind, because sometimes it's easy to just flash a name or whatever, but the more you dive in, the more you understand. Okay, these are the players, and the reason why they're building on Canton because it fits their rules for the moment.
Yeah, because it's easy just to sort of throw a load of crypto firm logos up on your website. And they could be like a company that's got like one person working for them and a fancy logo, right? But when you drill down into it and you see, okay, look, this thing's into it, right? Yeah, very interesting. So, wow.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I think maybe we'll have maybe on another episode we'll have a bit deeper dive into the Canton sort of code or something, the
from a
privacy
technological
elements
point
of it. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a good overview to really understand who are the players, understand why this chain is being built this way. But yeah, I think like you said, a deeper dive is clearly important to stay up to date because this is what we deal with every day: institution, money, tokenization. Those themes are really what's gonna be in the upcoming years. So we have to make sure to understand that the whole blockchain or crypto or digital asset ecosystem and then I mean the best chains will survive the same way that the best tokens survive in the long run. So no, I think it's good.
See if see if you can get yourself approved as a super validator and start stacking some Canton coins. You're potentially going to get part of the fee revenue
Yeah.
from trillions and trillions and trillions of transactions happening non-stop.
Totally.
So
And
yeah,
if
that's
you're
the
building
long-term
apps that
play here, right?
are being used, and if they're really pushing on usage to kind of get value from the ecosystem, what you want to do is build something that people are interested in, people want to use on a daily basis, and yeah, super validator are clearly a great step towards that. All right.
Awesome.
Well,
Thanks for that.
thanks, Ross, for your insight. I think it was a very interesting deep dive. Clearly, a lot to
I
learn.
didn't open my cigar this week, but anyway.
You were too interested in the gentleman's haircut and everything that was happening on screen. So I don't blame you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for Solana Smoke. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.